Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonkar. The agenda for today's discussion can be connected with multiple themes for UPSC civil services preparation. We can say it is connected to Indian polity and law. It can also be connected with Indian society. Our discussion today is connected to gambling, betting. Why are we discussing this? Because recently many Bollywood actors and actresses and prominent personalities have been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with an illegal betting racket or an illegal betting app. You can see here Mahadev betting app case. Recently, Ranbir Kapoor, Kapil Sharma, Huma Qureshi, Hina Khan, and many other Bollywood actors and actresses have been summoned by the ED. So in this discussion, we are going to discuss about gambling and betting and its legal status in our country. In fact, we are going to discuss multiple things here. First, we are going to talk about this particular case, which is in current affairs. Then we'll talk about Enforcement Directorate, and then we'll jump into an argumentative discussion about should gambling betting be legalized completely in our country. In fact, let's begin our discussion with a question, a simple question for you for practice. Critically examine if gambling and betting on sports should be legalized in India. You do know that many countries have legalized betting in their territorial jurisdiction. India does not allow sports betting. Yes, there are some games which are allowed, online fantasy games, etc., but they are considered game of skill, not game of chance. Betting or pure gambling, it basically depends on pure luck. So that's not allowed. So in this video lecture, you will get very good fodder to attempt this particular question. All right. To get to know that information, stay with me till the very end. Let's begin. But before that, there's a small notice for all the UPSC civil services aspirants. StudyIQ's P2I program is going to begin in a few hours. From 10th October 2023, the batch 1 is beginning at 6 p.m. There are multiple formats in which the lectures would be delivered. It's available in English, in Hindi, and in a bilingual format. And it is also available in different formats like silver, gold, platinum. Just visit our website, studyiq.com. You'll get all the information there. Just pick out the program that suits you and enroll. I'll see you in the class. All right, let's begin. As I told you, recently, many actors, actresses like Ranbir Kapoor, Shraddha Kapoor, Huma Qureshi, Hina Khan, Kapil Sharma, they have been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with the Mahadev online betting app. Some people have responded to the ED summons. Ranbir Kapoor has asked for some time, and many other actors have appeared before the ED in this investigation. Now, this case is connected with this Mahadev book, the king of online world. You do understand that betting based on luck is illegal in India. We do not have the concept of betting. Yes, many other countries allow. You must have seen UK, etc. They have Betfair, Betaway, etc. Such apps, such websites are available. But in India, betting is illegal on sports, etc. So recently, ED has raided this Mahadev book online app, its premises. They are mainly based from Chhattisgarh. The promoters, 2 promoters are based from Chhattisgarh, and according to Enforcement Directorate, on basis of this illegal betting, they have amassed a wealth of more than in excess of 5,000 crores. Huge amount. In fact, recently one of the promoters, he got married in Dubai in a very lavish wedding where apparently he spent more than 200 crore rupees, and the guests were chartered in private flights from India to Dubai. Huge, a lavish wedding. So the ED has raided this. In fact, there is also a Pakistani connection which is coming up in this Mahadev book online case, and apparently these promoters were going to start such a betting racket in Pakistan as well. So things will unfurl here. We are not going to discuss specifically about the Bollywood connection, etc., but we are more bothered about understanding the legality of gambling betting in our country. In fact, this particular app, it also allowed to bet on the results of different elections in India, different elections, state elections, etc., other elections. On that also, people could bet, people could put money, and they used UPI transactions, looting thousands of people, thousands and lakhs of people for crores of money, basically. All right, they amassed a lot of wealth. But let that case follow. Whenever some update comes, we'll have an update on that. We'll have a discussion on that. But today, let's talk about the legality of gambling betting in India. But before that, we'll talk about the role of ED, Enforcement Directorate. Remember, ED is not police. I'm reiterating, ED is not police. Enforcement Directorate, it is a law enforcement agency under Government of India, which comes under Ministry of Finance. It is under Department of Revenue. And Enforcement Directorate, it is mainly responsible for implementing the laws connected with foreign exchange. It implements the provisions of FEMA, that is Foreign Exchange Management Act, which came in 1999. Before that, they used to implement FERA, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, before FEMA came. They also regulate and implement some of the provisions connected to prevention of Money Laundering Act. Apart from this, if you look at ED, its history is that of enforcement unit, which began in 1956 under the Department of Economic Affairs. And later on, when it was basically implemented, it was basically implementing the FERA Act. But later on, it turned in 1957 into the name ED, Enforcement Directorate. It was transferred from the Department of Economic Affairs under Ministry of Finance to the Department of Revenue. Since 1957, the ED is looking into these economic crimes, economic offenses. It is headquartered at Delhi. Apart from that, please remember the functions of ED include implementing the FEMA Act. Right now, FEMA Act is there. It also implements the PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Recently, in 2018, for economic offenders, Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018 was brought because of many offenders like say Vijay Mallya, Mehul Choksi, Nirav Modi, etc. So they implement this act as well. Apart from that, Coffee-Posa Act is also implemented by the Enforcement Directorate. The appointment of ED and its director, it happens from CVC Act. It's a very, very important input from MCQ perspective. The Enforcement Director, ED Enforcement Directorate's director is appointed by the central government on recommendation of a committee which is chaired by the Central Vigilance Commissioner, and it comprises of different members like Vigilance Commissioners, Home Secretary, Secretary of DOPT, etc. All right. So remember, the appointment happens from CVC Act 2003, and the ED director shall have minimum tenure of 2 years. Apart from that, there are certain things that we need to know about ED from MCQ perspective. ED implements, as I told you, FEMA Act. It also implements the PMLA, provisions of PMLA Act, especially in cases of criminal cases. FEMA is connected with civil cases. ED has the powers of civil court. It can summon people, it can ask for affidavit, it can ask for all the details, documentation, proof, etc. Apart from that, it is not necessary to summon a person. ED, in fact, has the powers to directly go for search and seizure based on the order from the ministry. All public servants are under the jurisdiction of Enforcement Directorate. As I repeated, ED is not police. It mainly consists of revenue officers. And the protection that is available under 20 clause 3, it is only after arrest and not during the summons stage. All right. So important facts regarding ED which can be a little confusing and tricky whenever connected with multiple choice questions. So after understanding Enforcement Directorate, let's now move towards the status of gambling in India. Now we do know that gambling is an age-old, I would say, means of passing the time, right? We have evidences of the entire idea of that Mahabharata because of gambling itself. But gambling has been looked down upon right from ancient times itself because it has very adverse impacts on the individual as well as society. It is capable of devouring a man entirely. It may lead to addiction. So right from the British era itself, gambling was held illegal. In fact, during the British era, the British derived a lot of rules and regulations from their own statutes, deriving from the British Gaming Act and the Betting Act of 1845. They brought the Public Gambling Act 1867 in India, which banned gambling and betting in India. All right. Although certain things were allowed, we'll talk about that. That means in India, common gaming house and common gambling establishments are not going to be set up in our country according to the British Act, Public Gambling Act 1867. But in 1950, we brought our own constitution. Now, when we brought our constitution, we gave the powers to make rules and regulations with respect to gambling and betting to the states, because we put gambling and betting as a subject in list 2 of Schedule 7, that is under the state list. So as of now, the legal standing is that different state governments can bring their own rules and regulations with respect to gambling and betting. However, the Public Gambling Act 1867 was imposed, or it is still in force in some of the states in northern India. States like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, etc., they have Union Territory of Delhi, I would say, they have implemented Public Gambling Act 1867 itself. Remember, there are some clauses with respect to Public Gambling Act 1867 which say that these things are not banned, meaning the lotteries are allowed in our country, horse racing is allowed in our country, and games involving use of skill. Please remember, when I say gamble or when I say bet, now bet or gamble, if it is based purely on luck, that is not allowed. So you do understand, games of chance are the ones which are based on luck. Say there is a concept of andar bahar prominently in most of the India. It simply relates to picking up a card. If it is higher or lower, there is no skill involved. You simply pick a card. It depends on your luck. Or even to a large extent, the game of teen patti, it depends on luck itself. So game of chance are not allowed, but game of skills are allowed. And in lieu of that, horse racing is considered a game of skill where prior skills are required. The jockey needs prior skills. Apart from that, lotteries have been age old. I would say they're not exactly gambling per se, but lotteries have been held legal in many states in India, in states of Goa, Arunachal Pradesh, Kerala lottery is very prominent, Maharashtra. I mean, many states lotteries are legal. So horse racing, lotteries, these are legal. Apart from that, game of skill is allowed. And that is why, if you have a doubt, sir, you said betting gambling is legal where game of luck is involved or game of chance is involved. But we do have these fantasy games. There is rummy online, there is poker online. So how are these allowed in India? Again, these are allowed because they are considered games of skill, where yes, they are involved with cards, they are involved with some kind of gambling where you bet your money, but it is based on your skill, not your luck purely. Clear? So that's the standing. In fact, if you try to understand the exact position, as I told you, post independence, we have given powers to the states, and different states have brought different rules and regulations. For instance, online gambling and land-based casinos, that means gambling establishment, can be created, can be set up through a license from the state itself in state of Goa, Sikkim, Nagaland, Daman and Diu. And again, this Public Gambling Act, it relates to Goa, Daman and Diu. Specifically, since 1976, it is legal. In fact, I'm quite sure most of our viewers must have visited Goa and they must have gone to Deltin Royal, Deltin Jack or some other kind of casino, right, which is quite legal in Goa. Apart from that, there are certain states which have legalized gaming, e-gaming, even game of chance. They are legalized in Sikkim and Nagaland. In fact, recently, Meghalaya has also brought an ordinance where they have removed the Meghalaya Prevention of Gambling Act and they have now regulated gambling. They also can have casinos. Even they have allowed to a large extent game of chance or game of luck as well. But some states, they have completely banned these game of chance betting. For instance, Maharashtra prohibits it because there is a Bombay Prevention of Gambling Act 1887. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh are very strict, very strict. In Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, nothing is allowed. You would not believe, see, all these gaming apps, they do require your location, and as soon as you reach within the territory of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, all your gaming apps would also go. That means Dream 11 is not applicable, or any kind of games, online games are not allowed in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. Rummy is banned, the Teen Patti is banned, even Dream 11 Fantasy is banned. Everything is banned in Andhra and Telangana. Apart from that, there are different gaming federations which have been set up. All India Gaming Federation, Online Gaming Federation, Indian Fantasy Sports Federation, Rummy Sports Federation. They have been created because in recent times, this industry has become huge. In fact, I would say it has reached to billions of dollars industry in India. Now, if you talk about some other states in recent times, Tamil Nadu has also passed a law. Tamil Nadu Assembly has passed Tamil Nadu Prohibition of Online Gambling and Regulation of Online Games. In fact, they have also banned rummy also, poker also. All these games have been banned. Apart from that, they have established their own Tamil Nadu Online Gaming Authority. So they do not believe in game of chance. The game of chance cannot be played, and very strangely, they believe rummy and poker also to be game of chance. But different judiciaries or high courts in India have time and again they have said that rummy is a game of skill, it involves 13 cards, etc. So let's not get into that debate. But what I want to tell you is, in India, the status of gambling is such that there is no sort of uniformity. There's no sort of uniformity. Different states have different rules and regulations, and because of which it leads to a lot of confusion. Say if anybody wants to bring a pan-India app, it leads to a lot of confusion. In fact, I told you example of Telangana. I am one of the witness or testimony of that. Why? What happens is because I stay in a bordering district in Karnataka. In Karnataka, it is legal. Once it was made illegal, again Karnataka High Court intervened. It is made legal now. People at the border, they travel from one place to another place every day to gamble and come back. So all these things also happen. So it's quite funny, right? So this is the actual situation of gambling in India. Now, the big question for us comes up, do we need to bring some sort of uniformity or should we legalize gambling and betting completely in India? Should we completely legalize it? Say if it is connected to sports or games also, can we allow that? That means very similar to the Mahadev app, right now it is banned. Imagine that we legalize everything. Very similar to how it is there in UK. There is Betway, there is Betfair, there are so many different apps that have come up. So everything is legalized. What would be the benefits and problems with it? Let's try to understand. Now, see, legalizing means the government is going to regulate anybody who wants to create a betting app or a gambling app, etc. Get a license from the state and start your work. Register yourself. Again, regulating norms can come. There can be many benefits. First of all, the source of black money completely ends. Right now, since they are banned, there is underground operation. We saw with that Mahadev online. And crores of rupees is involved here. And we do not know where the betting is coming from, where the bet is coming from, where the money is going. A lot of Hawala transactions have also been carried out by those Mahadev online bookies. Okay. So if we legalize, the source of black money ends completely. Now everything would be white. If you have legalized, you come, you bet, whatever you win, every money would be transferred. The government will get its own tax. So government will get very good revenue out of it. It can make a lot of revenue. State exchequer would be filled. And if the industry is open, people can come and invest in the gambling industry, isn't it? Because there are already established players, especially in other countries. They might be interested to come in India and bring money, bring FDI. Now, if FDI comes, we can create more opportunities. We can create employment opportunities. We can generate income. We can end illegal betting completely. And if we are getting money for the exchequer, now imagine I bring it in rules and regulations itself that say I earn or the government earns 100 rupees from these gambling industries. 50 rupees of that goes into social schemes. Imagine how funding and what kind of implementation can we bring with that much of money. But again, these are utilitarian arguments that there are a lot of benefits for legalization. There are some cons or there can be some issues when we legalize it. First of all, there is that moral hazard or moral question which comes up, that should we allow unethical, immoral means? I started with a discussion of Mahabharata itself. Gambling can be quite addictive, and gambling has both social and economic issues connected with it. People can completely go bankrupt. People can go into poverty. It can lead to addiction. It can have social impact where increase in crime can happen, increase in divorce rates can happen, breakup of families can happen. So many socio-economic problems might come. Apart from that, especially for the youth, the easy or quick money syndrome can jump in. In fact, it is already jumping in because of the, I would say, the craze of social media these days. Easy and quick money syndrome is a problem wherein youth are attracted to it. They say, why do I have to study? Why do I have to put in hard work? Why do I have to research? Why do I have to go into that field? I simply get here. I can make quick buck and I can earn and live, right? That's the quick and easy money syndrome. Apart from that, in India, regulation is not very easy. Now, you can argue against me on this particular point, but India is a country of 140 crore odd population. Even if we regulate, there are so many issues that come up. Let me give you an example of why regulation would be tough, because a lot of money is involved here. And you do know that we have these fantasy games which are quite legal already in our country, isn't it? I'm quite sure all our viewers or majority of our viewers, they will be having some sort of that fantasy game app on your mobile, isn't it? The Dream 11, My 11 Circle, Your 11 Circle. I don't know what 11 Circle, but still, it is regulated, isn't it? Recently, there was a case, or there was a notice which was sent from the GST department to Dream 11, which is one of the biggest fantasy game app in India, and they have been served a notice for tax evasion, GST evasion of 42,000 crores. I'm repeating, 42,000 crores. That means, despite bringing so many things, can I implement and regulate these things properly? Yes, I might bring some sort of safeguards. Despite that, will there be a problem? There will be a legal problem for sure, because it is in state list. Now, if center makes a law on this, will it be considered violation of the principle of cooperative federalism? So legal tangle can also emerge out of this particular issue. Now, question is, okay, sir, I understood both the sides. I understood this side as well as this side, but what can we do? As of now, we need to understand if legal status of gambling, it needs some sort of revamping for sure, because it is not uniform. As I told you, some states have completely legalized it. For instance, Sikkim, Nagaland, Meghalaya recently more or less completely legalized game of skill, game of chance, whatever it is. Horse racing is quite valid all over India right now. Apart from that, lotteries are already available all over India. So it's just a case of legalizing betting along with proper regulation. So some sort of revamp can be brought, and central government can work on this. The first thing that is needed is that it should be made a concurrent subject. It should be made a concurrent subject. Why? Because if we are talking about some sort of uniformity and regulation, a regulation from central government, an authority from central government, bringing or persuading, nudging the state governments to bring better rules and regulations, that makes sense. And to do it, it has to move from the list 2 to list 3. Apart from that, there can be some sort of restrictions. Of course, see, gambling, betting, gaming, these are all considered as age-old means of time pass, right? Passing your time. So some restrictions can be put to avoid addiction. For instance, your Aadhaar number is there, your PAN number is there, your account number is there. On that, transaction limit can be made. Or if anybody, through app itself, through regulation itself, there has to be compulsory cooling off period for people, that say in a week only this much is allowed, this transaction allowed, this much time can be allotted to the app, etc. Some things like that. Again, that will also lead to a lot of legal tangle, but some sort of cooling off period along with transaction limit and gambling rehabilitation center to ensure that gambling does not turn into that addiction, or even if it has turned into addiction, rehabilitation center should be there. So with some sort of safeguards, we can proceed. Again, this list is non-exhaustive. As you already know that many countries have legalized betting. We can take some cue from those countries, how things are being done, and many of these things are implemented there as well. As I told you, compulsory cooling off period is there, a limit is there on how much of betting can be done on one particular game, one particular tournament, etc. Such things have come already. And to strengthen this idea or suggestion that yes, legalization can be done, even Law Commission of India in its 276th report has suggested that we can talk about legalizing gambling in our country. In fact, Law Commission in the report has categorically told that right now many of the states are governed by an obsolete colonial era law, that is Public Gaming Act 1867, which is colonial era law. It does not make sense now. So what is needed is perhaps a new comprehensive law wherein gambling can be legalized with proper checks and balances and safeguards, especially for the cons that we discussed. So let's wait and watch how things unfurl. But as of now, the betting case investigation is going on for that Mahadev app. If there is update, we'll talk about that. If there is any update on gambling, betting, etc., in terms of legalization as well, we'll discuss that on StudyIQ. But I hope that you have received enough fodder, enough content to attempt an answer to the question that we began with, and you have gained a lot of clarity with respect to what kind of legal setup do we have for gambling and betting in India. With that note, let me end my discussion. And if you have liked this video, you can always follow me on this particular ID at the rate Rahul Sai 222. If you have any queries, doubt, etc., you can always reach out to me on IG. I do respond on weekends. Thank you for watching this. Jai Hind.